This episode is brought to you by Resy and American Express. Resy is a digital platform that connects restaurants to restaurant lovers by elevating dining experiences, providing original industry content, and helping to fill some of the country's most exciting dining rooms. Because restaurants have always been more than just places to eat. The amazing world of restaurants is just a few taps away in the Resy app and at resy.com.
Hey, this is Bill Simmons from the Bill Simmons Podcast, here to help you make the most of your summer with Michelob Ultra, a superior light beer worth playing for. Play for it with the guys when you're competing to see who can sink more birdies on the golf course, because winning tastes even better with Ultra on the line. Play for Ultra. Fill your fridge with Michelob Ultra this summer. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2025 Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
LA is just always going to be kind of that perennial restaurant city.
Totally
right?
agree.
And it's always exciting. It's always got something going on. If we allowed it, there'd be like 7 restaurants on this list from LA. Right?
Right.
That just doesn't make for a very democratic list.
This is Taste. I'm your host, Matt Rodbard. Today on the show, we have a great conversation with Joseph Hernandez. He's the Associate Director of Drinks and Lifestyle at Bon Appétit and Epicurious. And we talk about BA's Best New Restaurants of 2025 list that drops today. It's a terrific list and covers the U.S. with ambition and great taste, including stops in Pittsburgh, Honolulu, Miami, Los Angeles, and Chicago. Who made the list? We'll go over it all. Also on the show, Eliza and I go over some of our favorite baking cookbooks from this busy fall season. This is a really fun episode, and I hope you enjoy it. Joseph Hernandez, welcome to This Is Taste. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Well, big day for you guys.
Yeah.
You've just released this amazing list of the best new restaurants in America, and I've been such a fan of the way BA, Bon Appetit, has really thought this through. And I really appreciate when I see this list. I like front as somebody who like tries to know about everything in the food world, but I'm like learning about new chefs and new restaurants in cities that I haven't been to in years. Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about the process to get to this list.
Yeah, it's a long process. You know, we're planning, we're drafting, we're thinking about these things fully a year and a half out. I know for a fact that while we're in production of the current list, we're already 6 months into researching the next list. We're just always on, and we love a spreadsheet. So we're constantly, dropping Slacks to each other on our team, sending notes, keeping an eye on what local newspapers are covering and what the national critics are talking about. Really just keeping an eye on everything at all times. It's nuts.
And what's the travel like for yourself and your fellow editors who are out on the road?
Yeah, it gets wild. It's not great for the body.
Yeah, totally.
When you're traveling like that. Usually it depends on the city. If it's kind of a restaurant dense city, we're going there a few times, going to LA, for instance, for 4 or 5 days, coming back to revisit if we need to. Chicago, New York, we're here, so it's a little easier on us. But we've got kind of a list of 20, 30 cities that we keep an eye on and are just trying to stay on top of things.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting. Like, some years you have like 2 restaurants in Detroit, and this year there's no Detroit and there's no Portland, Portland, which was like, back in the old days of BA 2015. I mean, those are the cities that BA leaned into, the 2 Portlands. So how do you think about spreading it around the country? Because I recognize the challenge.
Yeah, I think there's 2 parts to that. The logistical challenge of budget and time and not being able to hit everything, which is a real shame. But, it's the nature of the industry. It's the nature of the business. It's hyper ambitious to kind of hit every city that we want. And so we have to start making tough choices. And sometimes we'll go to a place because we've heard of, some promising openings, and some places are just not ready.
Yeah.
And having to make that call.
Completely.
It's not that we love these places less. It's just that we found something elsewhere that really rose to the occasion.
Yeah. So in general, were there any cities that really surprised the team this year?
We have a restaurant from Hawaii on the list. I think that definitely came from a lot of heavy research that our team did in our summer issue, our August issue. We featured the kind of local food scene of Hawaii, and in that process, months ago, our editor, Jennifer Hope Choi, she discovered this restaurant that was really speaking to kind of the diaspora of Hawaii and all the flavors that are happening there.
Yeah.
And, it's not an easy place to get to. Some people can just hop on a plane. But this restaurant speaks to what's happening in the state, and it makes it a real destination. And so that's something that I think will surprise some people.
Great. Well, we'll get to Giavetti, the restaurant you speak about. And let's talk about the list, because I think there's so much to cover from this amazing package. It's gorgeous. You shot a beautiful package. I got to see the PDF, so the print version of it in advance. And your art team, bravo to you guys.
They're amazing.
Nice
I just
work.
love their work. Yeah.
BA's looking amazing. Nice work there.
Thank you.
But let's start at Feld in Chicago. This is one that you personally wrote. And it's clear from the write-up that this was a pretty divisive restaurant. I have had many friends in my life, a couple at least, say, you have to go to Feld. You have to go to Feld. It's been on my radar. Joey, what did you find interesting about Feld?
Well, so Chicago's my hometown.
Yeah.
And the fine dining scene there is really just always at a high level. It's the home of the James Beard Awards currently for the Restaurant and Chef Awards.
Yep.
And so it attracts a lot of talent. There's a lot of investment in the restaurant scene, and Feld kind of opened last year with a lot of buzz, and almost immediately kind of became center to big opinions, both on Reddit and local critics. Right out of the gate, 3 months in, I think, or 3 weeks in rather, it was the subject of just a lot of trash talk, which may or may not have been deserved.
Sure.
And then as formal reviews came in, those reviews were mixed to great. And so it was just kind of hard to figure out what's going on here.
What's the trash talk centered around? Is it price point? Is it about the style of service?
It was largely centered on it being a 30-course tasting menu.
Oh, yeah.
Which is nuts.
Wow.
That's ambitious. So, I can see why, a brand new restaurant that is operating at a really high level, it becomes an easy target. On a 30-course tasting menu, there are bound to be misses, right? And it's not cheap, right? It's pretty pricey.
Yeah.
But the chef, Jake Potashnik, Chicago native, but who had worked in global kitchens, he really took the criticism in stride. And instead of kind of getting defensive about it or, lashing back at the critics, he got to work. He dialed in, he tweaked his flavors. He also showed his process a lot. I think that speaks to his temperament, where he kind of invited people into the kitchen and also via social media to his various farm trips with his team. And you don't see a lot of chefs utilizing social media in that way. Yeah. So it piqued my interest. So I had to go try it.
Are there any highlights from the meal?
Oh my gosh.
I know it's 30 courses.
Well, it's dialed down to 20, 25.
Okay. Good for him.
Yeah. And it's a really cool restaurant. A lot of the expediting and finishing of the dishes happen in the center of the dining room. Really open air in that regard. And you're not just dealing with one server. Every server kind of touches the table. There's a really fun choreography that's happening as you're experiencing your meal. Yeah. And the dishes themselves are light but really concise, and there's a real vision. It sounds really silly to say this, but my memory of the last meal that I had there was this just lightly poached, perfect cube of turnip in a Benton ham broth, and it
sounds amazing.
It was beautiful. It was stunning, and it was such a unexpectedly simple but perfectly executed, mid-palate dish. And that spoke to me of, his kind of restraint.
Yeah. No, and calling out a turnip is cool. And I think that's something that makes a tasting menu really shine when a vegetable course with a beef broth or with a pork broth really, really, really stuns. So I love that.
And I have to say that tasting menu dining is not really my thing, but to kind of see that really clear aesthetic and really clear point of view in such a calm atmosphere, and it was very apparent how dialed in the staff were
Yeah.
to the experience. That's what made it onto the list.
Let's move on to the sisters Anna and Lydia Castro
love
at
them.
Akamaya in New Orleans. I mean, Akamaya is a place that I really want to visit, and you call it out as one of the country's best. Tell me a little bit about it.
Oh, man, it's amazing. I had the pleasure of dining there last year, shortly after it opened. Anna and Lydia are awesome chefs and just so warm and just so full of true hospitality spirit. And the restaurant is beautiful. It's really stylish. It's got a bit of kind of Mexico City with New Orleans airs. So really beautiful place to dine. It's coastal Mexican with a little bit of reference to other parts of Mexico, utilizing Louisiana ingredients. So really lovely. I think my favorite dish was the chochoyotes, which is a kind of like thumbprint masa dumpling.
Oh, beautiful.
And I know that the menu changes often enough where the medium in which the dumpling is presented is different. But I had a really like savory tomato broth preparation when I had gone because it was the height of summer. And it was so supple and pillow-like and beautiful. And again, another calm kitchen. Everybody just seemed to really respect each other's space and how they worked together and passed off plates to finish to other parts of it. And that's something that I just like love observing when you have an open-air kitchen and you kind of get to witness that, the theater of dining.
It's part of assessing a restaurant. And I like there's a sharpness here with the BA staff when looking at restaurants. It's not just the dish, the food on the plate. You know, it's about style of service. It's about spaces. It's about pageantry or lack of pageantry. You know, I really like that. And I like in the write-up, I think Elazar wrote it for that piece. It was really calling out how New Orleans is a city that has a really, really clear regional food ways. And this restaurant is not necessarily tapping into that. This is a regional Mexican restaurant in New Orleans. And it's like, people need to pay attention that New Orleans has incredible Mexican food.
Yes. Yeah. And that speaks to the sisters' point of view. It's their background. And their style of cooking is just inviting.
Yeah. And let's zoom out a bit because I wanted to bring up the topic of looking at other reviews because there was a terrific Akamaya review in the New York Times from the new co-chief critic Tejal Rao, which dropped maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago. And, you know, by then you likely probably had picked this restaurant and you're at the disadvantage where you're not a weekly review.
Right.
You have to sit on these picks for a long time. What do you think about that when you see one of your restaurants, you know, given this big national platform months ahead of your list?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think because we know that it's already on our list and that we can't help the timing, there's not much we can do about that. It is great to see our tastes affirmed by our peers because our lists are looking at the best new restaurants. We're months ahead of other people visiting and kind of coming to these conclusions. And, you know, we're dicing and splicing our opinions internally by December, really. So all of this is to say that we love a review. We love seeing them and can kind of confirming and comparing.
Yeah, sure.
But ultimately they come a little too late for our timeline in terms of, you know.
Well, you have to set up the photo shoots. I mean, there's a print publication you have to deal with.
It'd be one thing if they had a story about a restaurant that we had that we were also working on.
Yeah, that's
a specific narrative. That's when it becomes like, oh man, wish we could have moved a little quicker. But in this case, I loved that review and it really captured the spirit of the restaurant. And it's just nice to see more love for the restaurants that we love.
I totally agree. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Let's move to Los Angeles. Out of so many openings and, you know, one of the buzzier cities in America for new restaurants, you land on 2, Camellia and Kamal. Tell me about landing on those 2 to represent Los Angeles on this list.
LA is just always going to be kind of that perennial restaurant city.
Totally agree.
And it's always exciting. It's always got something going on. You know, if we allowed it, there'd be like 7 restaurants on this list from LA, right? That just doesn't make for a very democratic list. 2 in this case, they both speak to different ends of the spectrum as an experience. You know, Kamal is a little bit more casual. It's in a marketplace. It's a little bit more counter service, you know, but there's such a clarity of vision in terms of this specific style of Mexican cuisine. And then you have Camellia, which is a little bit more polished, closer to fine dining, with a real global sensibility with like French and Japanese fare.
Yeah.
And really dialed in technically. But they both speak to LA right now.
Yeah.
Right? You know, this kind of every person dining experience that is Kamal, that is really accessible and really fun and exciting and instills a sense of discovery. You know, LA's the home and land of Jonathan Gold, and like that's kind of the spirit that it operates in. And then you have this like really great restaurant that is also very deserving. And how do you kind of split the two when they're both different experiences at the end of the day?
Yeah, I think, and I wanted to ask that question about the two because you're thinking about a market and representing it well, and it's smart that you chose these two restaurants as contrasts in the city.
Yeah, and you want to show off style, right? You want to show off like different
aesthetics and style of service, all of that. Today's episode of This Is Taste is brought to you by Grow Therapy. If you're navigating anxiety, depression, relationship changes, or something else, you deserve care that meets you where you're at. Grow Therapy is designed to help you find a therapist who fits your needs and supports the way you want to feel. Grow makes it easier to find the right therapist for you. They connect you with thousands of independent, licensed therapists across the U.S., offering both virtual and in-person sessions. You can search by insurance, provider specialty, treatment methods, and more to find a therapist who is right for you. Whatever challenges you're facing, Grow Therapy is here to help. Sessions average about $21 with insurance, and some pay as little as $0 depending on their plan. Visit growtherapy.com/taste today to get started. That's growtherapy.com/taste. Availability and coverage vary by state and insurance plan.
Vitamin Water Zero Sugar has great taste, zero BS, and obviously zero sugar. For those with zero room in their calendar. Zero patience for slow walkers. Those who get 0 hours of sleep on a Saturday night. Have zero filter, zero given, and zero interest in grabbing a plain, boring water. Grab a delicious Vitamin Water Zero Sugar today.
So, Joey, tell me about the selection of Vinay in Minneapolis. The focus is Hmong cuisine with a really talented chef expressing the cuisine in an interesting way. And I went to college in Wisconsin and got to try a bunch of Hmong cuisine while there. And it sounds like there's some exciting things happening here.
Yeah. Chef Yi Vang is like BA favorite. We've been covering him for years. You know, he had Union Hmong Kitchen years ago, and then COVID hit and had, you know, there were pop-ups, and he's always been central to being an ambassador to his people's cuisine. And this review was written by Kate Casson, and she spoke highly of its kind of deeply personal storytelling. You know, Chef Vang's family come from this refugee camp in Thailand called Vinay, and that, you know, he named the restaurant after that to kind of honor his family's history and immigration history and what that represents in the modern day, and doing it in a city like Minneapolis. You know, it's not a cuisine that has a huge stage, and he's building his own stage.
Yeah. So, Joey, I love seeing a place like Lennox on the list. It's a restaurant in Seattle that pays tribute to Nuyorican cuisine, which, you know, is at the heart of many New Yorkers' historical cuisine. And a chef is serving it 3,000 miles away. So tell us a little bit about Lennox and about this cuisine.
Well, I'll zoom out a little bit and talk about the list as a whole. This year, we found a narrative thread of homecoming.
Cool.
Within all of these restaurants, whether it's memories of home or how you share home. And Lennox speaks to that theme and that mission. You know, the chef, Johnny Reyes, is really sharing his heritage on a plate. You know, his family from Puerto Rico, roots in New York, now settling in Seattle, and finding the narrative thread through food about all of these things. Yeah. And it's less about Nuyorican specifically and more about here's a little taste of New York, here's a little taste of Puerto Rico, and here's a taste of Seattle. Yeah. And bringing that all together. And, you know, I've used this word a lot, but like clarity again, just like understanding the story he wants to tell with his food.
Very cool. Well, let's return to Honolulu and talk to about Giovetti, which you set up a little bit in earlier. But it's a restaurant that is from a chef with a deep bench of skills from the Italian, lexicon of cooking, but is using Hawaiian flavors and produce, using the Chinatown neighborhood that it's located in Honolulu to do something very special. I'm so happy that Hawaii gets on the list. It's one of, I think Honolulu is an incredible food city if you can make it there. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, there's it was kind of an exciting pick from just months of research for this big package that we did in August about Hawaii from the local perspective. And our editor, Jen Choi, was on the ground with a whole team, honestly, covering the Hawaiian foodways and what is going on in the island. And Hawaii has always represented this kind of crossroads of flavor. Just waves of different diasporas coming through and how those people are represented in the various fusion cuisines, and I don't want to say that as a pejorative. It's exciting.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Absolutely.
And this is just kind of the next phase of that. It's fun to see Italian and Chinese kind of combine.
Yeah.
One of the dishes that we had discussed was like a mapo gnocchi, and
cool.
You're like, yeah, wait,
I want that combination.
I want that. Give me that.
Yeah, totally. And I feel like I've not come across that.
Yeah,
I really you're like, oh, of course I've seen that, but no, I actually have not seen that.
And it just feels natural for Hawaii.
It feels right.
Right.
Yeah, I mean Honolulu, you go there and the Cantonese restaurants, the Korean restaurants, the ramen shops. I mean, you could be in any of
Filipino, Puerto Rican, or Portuguese.
Yeah,
these flavors are everywhere.
It's a real. You spoke well about how it has waves of cultures coming in.
And everybody is accepting of that and adaptive. And that's what I think Giovetti speaks to.
Let's end in New York. There's many other picks, and you have to read the list online or buy the magazine. Let's buy magazines, people, guys.
Let's buy magazines.
And not just at Hudson News when you're flying.
Yeah.
You can buy a magazine in many places.
Yeah.
Seek out the BA October issue. It's a terrific issue. I love the cover.
Thank you.
And you guys are doing great work over there. But in New York, you have Ha's Snack Bar, which there's deafening buzz about this restaurant.
Yes.
I feel like there's restaurants that come once or twice a decade, like Ha's, that have a pedigree from pop-up to brick and mortar, and you read about the lines and they're real. And there's been people lining up at 4:30 for several months. There's been no dying of buzz. And it seemed like an obvious choice, but maybe not, because there's so many great restaurants.
I still haven't been.
Yeah, totally. I haven't been either. Yeah, we share that.
Yeah, no, the reservations go up, and reservations in New York are and have been an arms race. And they're snatched up within. I think they're open 3 weeks out, and then they're gone.
Yeah.
So it is kind of a walk. They encourage walking in, but they don't open until 5:30. So people do line up at 4.
Yeah.
And the line goes out the block, and it's not a big place. But it's exciting. It's kind of the new evolution of wine bars, which is happening here in New York, and there are a lot of kind of modern wine bars that are not now, but certainly taking food more seriously than before. Whereas it was olives and breadsticks and something
and an anchovy.
Yeah, right, as a checklist.
Yeah.
Ha's really changes the game in that regard. It's Vietnamese and French and Pan Asian and it's always different and it's never the same, and it captures that kind of New York vibe of oh, you're sharing a table with strangers and or so I've heard.
Yeah, no, we're
right.
It's funny. We're speculating. I know Liza's been and is friends with those folks, so she's spoken about it on the show. But I've not been, and I gotta try. I gotta
try.
What about other New York City restaurants? You live here, and I just can't let you leave without hearing about some other restaurants you're into.
Speaking of wine bars, it just opened recently, but I really love Lei Wine Bar in Chinatown. Just really stylish.
Yeah.
I love the cuisine. It's a really tight list of Chinese style snacks and charcuterie. There's, what is the ham? They have a shaved ham that is in the style of this really traditional Chinese variety that we can't import.
Yeah.
But it's served with like seasonal fruit, and it's like really just the perfect salty sweet bite to pair with wine.
Yeah.
Their wine list is incredible, just really smart. And then I live in Brooklyn. I love Leland's in Prospect Heights. Just a really nice neighborhood spot that very seasonal. They change things up. It's Filipino inflected. It's really celebratory of like seasonal produce and just a really cozy spot.
And you also edited and conceived of the best new bars list, which dropped this summer. Mm-hmm. So tell us about some of the bars. I mean, I don't want to let you go and hear about the bars.
Yeah, so the best new bars list happens concurrently with best new restaurants. So Elazar Lontag leads the restaurants project and I lead bars. And we share notes a lot because sometimes we get the conversation of like, is this a wine bar or is this a restaurant? Like, how are we going to split the difference here? But the best new bars list is 9 bars this year, and they span New Orleans, New York, Philly, so a few other cities that very little overlap in that regard with the restaurant list. New York, we featured Schmuck from the team who previously ran 2 Schmucks in Barcelona, which was a globally recognized bar. Here, it's got more of a kind of a living room party vibe.
Mm-hmm. I've seen the photos. I haven't been.
It's
the name is
cool.
Great. Yeah, it's cool. Right? It's very cool.
It's maybe too cool. Like I've aged out of cool.
Yeah, right on.
But
2 of us.
But it's great.
But you have to know that when you go in because you can't be like, oh man, this is like some, TikTok bait bullshit.
Yeah, it makes it just easier to like decide, right?
Yeah. It's not for me, but I really appreciate what Schmuck is doing.
But it is for me. That's the thing. Like, I'm like in it. I'm like, oh, great. This is like, wow. Because it's just really well designed. Like, I just really love all the art in there, but also just really focused cocktails. Yeah, very like a European, French, Spanish sensibility to the cocktails.
Yeah, I've been out of the cocktail game for a decade. So give me an example. I'm super curious.
I mean, the martini is always in style, right? And it's such a simple cocktail that is so easy to screw up, but it's also infinitely mutable. And if you have like a point of view, do you like it briny, and how do you like it briny? Do you want it like the ocean, or do you want it a little bit more subtle? Like those kind really master bartenders can like tweak those flavors. And the martini at Schmuck kind of speaks to that. They had I don't know if it's on the menu now, but for a while they had a sour that kind of tasted like the tomato water at the bottom of a panzanella bowl.
Oh, wow. Great description.
Yeah.
I know exactly that you nailed that.
That exact flavor.
Very cool.
As a drink. Yeah. And it was beautiful with, just like crystal cut ice in a highball. And it was stunning.
Yeah.
And it's like, how'd you think of this?
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I think the cocktail scene is sometimes underappreciated. And people like you need to highlight the culinary side of it.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, and give us one more bar around the country that comes to mind from your 9 that you think we should call out.
I got to go back to Chicago. It's a bar, Gus's Sip and Dip, that really kind of hits all of the notes of a great Chicago tavern. But what's exciting about it is they don't take reservations, but there's not like a line around the block. They open at 4:30 and it's already packed. It's a real scene, but in a like, it's spacious. It feels like you're in like, the coolest bar in town. And you are. It's got this beautiful like horseshoe bar in the center, really cool Japanese shaved ice machine that's just like constantly going. So there's a little bit of you're watching clouds before.
Oh, I mean, there's something about watching a shaved ice machine operate.
Yeah, it's hypnotic.
You can't not watch it.
But also they have 25 cocktails and they're all under $12.
Okay.
In this economy.
That's a model. Wow.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, but the team, it's from the team behind Let Us Entertain You.
Yeah.
And so like, this kind of giant of Chicago hospitality, but they're not slouching, they're not sitting back on their own laurels. They're still like thinking about ways to make, you said you went to school in Wisconsin, thinking about ways to modernize the grasshopper.
Yes, of course.
A brandy old fashioned, or obviously a martini. But their drinks are all classics. So if you don't want to really explore like signature cocktails, like you're going to go there for favorites. They have a killer bar burger. One of the best bar burgers I've had in recent memory.
So good.
And so it's like, it just kind of hits all the marks of familiar but innovative.
Yeah.
And that's one of a standout.
I love that call. Chicago making the list.
Yeah.
Chicago's a great city.
I mean, I'm biased, so.
No, it's okay. I'm too. I'm very biased myself, but that's okay. We'll definitely pick up the issue or read online the best new restaurants, the best new bars at BA. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Matt.
On This Is Taste, we ask guests about the discerning taste. So to close this interview, here's a little rapid fire, fast and furious taste check. Are you ready? The best fruit.
Mango.
The worst vegetable.
Artichoke.
Oh, tell me why.
I'll have it at a restaurant. I need somebody else to prepare it.
Yeah.
It is not worth it to me as a home cook to prepare artichoke.
It's not even worth it at a restaurant.
Not really.
Not really.
Let's be real.
Let's be real. What is your typical breakfast?
I'm kind of a monk during breakfast. Like my appetite is still asleep.
Yeah.
So I would say eggs, either hard-boiled or scrambled, and a bowl of fruit, and a big thing of black iced coffee.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely like it that way. That's good. What is the best dessert?
Baked Alaska.
Ooh. Have you been seeing it pop up around the country?
I have been seeing it.
We have been, Eliza and I have been talking about that. We've been seeing it. We've been seeing it in cookbooks as well.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's a fun dessert.
It really is.
It's got a sense of humor. You know,
Totally.
like
That's great.
you can change it up, like the ice cream or the cake.
Yep.
Like the style of meringue. I just love it.
Yeah.
And it's dramatic.
And shit's on fire.
And shit's on fire.
Yeah.
It's the gayest dessert.
Okay, well, fair. I love that too. Poll quote there. No, I think it's a really, really great classic dessert.
Yeah.
It tastes pretty good too
God.
for an ice cream cake.
Oh, and also like the temperature differences are really fun.
Yeah, no, that's what you want. Exactly.
Yeah.
This is a fun one for you. Is there a restaurant you wish you could bring back from the dead?
Got to go back with Chicago. Hot dogs.
Nice.
Yeah.
I lined up for that one.
I lined up for that one.
Yeah.
I was still in college when hot dogs was around.
Yeah.
And, Chicago loves its encased meats.
Yes, they do.
And, Doug Sohn, who ran and owned the place, just really, it was kind of like hot dogs for the people.
Yeah.
You got your foie gras dog and
duck fries
and all of
At
that.
the time, they were banned.
Yes.
By some weird mayor, banned them.
Yeah, there was like a whole, people are still protesting foie gras bans in Chicago.
Interesting thing to protest
in
this
2025.
world. Yeah. Huh.
But yeah, hot dogs. I think it just like spoke to a time and place.
Yeah, I love that call. Man, Doug should come on the podcast.
Yeah.
What's
he up to?
I don't know. Yeah, and the cool thing about hot dogs is like he was the guy giving you the hot dog.
Yeah.
Like Doug had to be there.
It was small. It was a small spot.
Small spot. And Doug, like he would close random hours.
It was at the time, it was in a random part of town.
Yeah.
Like, that nobody, would go to.
Yeah, right. Totally. Mm-hmm. It was a real legend. Nice one there. When you're craving fast food, where are you going?
Ooh. This one's actually really hard because I don't love fast food generally. McDonald's for a soft serve when the machine is working.
Totally. Sometimes it just isn't.
It just isn't.
Yeah.
Taco Bell.
Fair. I mean, I didn't want to press you.
Yeah.
Fair if you're not a fast food guy, but
yeah.
I think you passed that test from me. Your favorite city outside America to visit for food?
Mexico City.
I love that. Tell me about it.
Yeah, I have been really lucky the last couple of years to have been going at least once a year to Mexico, and I always make a Mexico City stop, and it's just so inviting in a way that I don't know. There's just so much energy in the air in Mexico. I was actually there in May most recently, and it was nice to see kind of the Asian diaspora represented in the restaurant scene, but also Mexican chefs reconnecting or connecting for the first time with their own heritage and being really proud of it, as opposed to bringing, leaving the country and bringing back French food and celebrating French food. They're no, I learned French technique and I'm now doing Mexican food. And this is not that. But the restaurant that I had gone to this time that was really exciting was called Voraz, which is kind of like a fine dining cantina because it's in this old gas station. And it's all live fire cooking, but all kind of regional Mexican fair a really killer wine list of a ton of Mexican wine producers that I'd never heard of. So really exciting, really different flavors. Mexican wine in particular is exciting to me because they don't follow the rules. There aren't the same rules, appellation rules and stuff as in Europe. So like it's devil may care. So everything is just a little bit more energetic, a little bit more exciting.
That can present itself as excitement in the glass. Absolutely. Last one, your favorite sandwich.
Okay. I used to work in Philly, and so this is my nod to that time. Not the cheesesteak.
Thank you. Correct answer.
The hoagie.
Oh, sick.
The hoagie is a perfect sandwich and is the sandwich that we should be talking about in a 2-sandwich town. There's just more interest in a hoagie. Obviously more layers, but you're getting the brightness of vinegar and the creaminess of mayo if you want it.
That's
the different meats. The bread is great, especially if you're going to a place that bakes their own bread.
Oh yeah, that's a essential part of the hoagie.
Yeah,
the hoagie. Can we do the Philly accent? Sorry, Philly people.
The hoagie.
The hoagie. Yeah.
It's just it's a better sandwich. There's more complexity to it than a cheesesteak, which I think is just a vehicle for salt. Which, no problem.
No.
But not my preference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want myself a hoagie right now.
Yeah.
Joey Hernandez, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Matt.
Good night, itchy eyes. Good night, sudden sneeze. Good night to your symptoms of allergies. Zysol is the allergy medicine you take before bed. It provides powerful relief while you rest your head. Not just all night, but all the next day. Zysol keeps working, keeping allergies at bay. And without those annoying symptoms disturbing your rest, you can wake up the next morning feeling your absolute best. Remember, be wise all. Take Zysol. At night.
Your earbud fell in a coffee cup. You need a taco pick-me-up. When modern life gets rough, grab the timeless taste you love. Paso, the old El Paso.
Eliza, we are taking the opportunity to preview some cookbooks for the fall.
It's cookbook season.
It really is, and I think the big caveat with this segment is we haven't seen every page of all these books. We've maybe seen a few PDFs, we've seen a few hard physical books, but we can't say that we have held all of these books. And it's important to note that because to judge a book literally by a PDF is unfair, because I really appreciate book making and paper quality and trim and all that stuff. So I think we're looking at mostly on concept and some of the content.
Yeah, I would say in the same way that you could look at a menu online before you go to the restaurant and get really hyped about some things that you want to order, we are similarly looking ahead at some of the fall cookbooks and thinking about what we're really excited to read from and cook from.
Absolutely. So this first category is baking. I mean, it's a very broad term, but I think the vibe is clear that these are books that will help you bake better in some form or the other. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's fair.
So we each have a couple that we want to talk about.
Do you want to start?
I will. The first book that kind of jumped out from a very crowded and very ambitious season is Pastry Temple, Baking with Inspired Flavors by Christina Wood. Christina is a former accountant who opened Temple Pastries in Seattle in 2020. This book really speaks to me because Christina is focusing on lamination, croissants, brioche, and puff pastry, which I think is a really unique category. It's also one of those things that maybe we're not doing a lot at home. We're relying on bakeries, and we want to maybe do our own croissants and do our own brioche. And I really appreciate that she's taken the time, and it's a really detailed account of doing basic croissants all the way to 5-spice Queen Amands, gochujang babka, and poached quince tarte tatin are a few of the recipes that jump out. I can't wait to check out this book in full, but it's exciting to me.
Yeah, it sounds great.
What's your first one?
I will start out by shouting out a gluten-free baking book because I know that there are a lot of gluten-free folks out there who love to eat pastries. I think this one seems really exciting. It's called The Art of Gluten-Free Bread, Ground Baking Recipes for Artisanal Breads and Pastries, and it's by Aran Goyaga, who is a 3-time James Beard Award finalist and a 4th-generation baker who decided to begin gluten-free baking due to some autoimmune issues that herself and her son were experiencing. So she really is like the baker's baker that I think has a really clear standard for what kinds of normally glutinous things she's trying to make gluten-free. Obviously, this book has a lot of bread in it, sourdough, yeasted bread, but it also has biscuits, bagels, even some croissants. It seems like a really good kind of general gluten-free baking resource.
I mean, this is a serious gluten-free baking book. I mean, those credentials are incredible. And I think there are an increasing number of people who are seeking out recipes that are gluten-free for baking specifically. And this book jumped out to me as well. I'm excited about it.
Yeah. What's your next one?
My next book is Lebanese Baking, More Than 100 Recipes for Sweet and Savory Baked Goods by Maureen Abad. And Maureen is a second-generation Lebanese American based in Michigan. Shouts to Michigan. I really learned a lot from this book. I was able to check out the PDF in advance, so I got to see the full picture of it. And it starts with this beautiful baklava master recipe, which is several pages of thoughts on baklava and all the different ways that it can be made and the different shapes. There's the diamond shape, the spirals, rolls, nests, and crinkles. And I just really, the photography is beautiful, and I love that. The book moves on to kanafa, and there's ones filled with cheese and nuts. And I think there's a really nice section in the book that is like several different photos showing different texture, which I think is something that I think about kanafa having that wonderful crunchy texture. What I like about this book is there's clearly classic Lebanese baking techniques in there, but there's also a Midwestern flair. So this is clearly somebody who's lived in the Midwest and cooked with what's available, as well as honoring the traditions of Lebanon. So I like that kind of contrast here, and the photography, as I mentioned, is really gorgeous.
Yeah, that's great. My next baking book that I'm excited about is called Baking and the Meaning of Life. It's by Helen Go, who is This is her first debut cookbook, but she's very known for being Ottolenghi's pastry chef and recipe developer. She also is a psychotherapist. So the fact that it's called Baking and the Meaning of Life, she is dispensing expert wisdom in multiple forms. And the recipes all just seem so delicious. They're kind of stemming from her upbringing, which is from Malaysia and Australia, but also these kinds of Middle Eastern Mediterranean flavors that working with Ottolenghi and that restaurant group for a long time would kind of introduce. So pandan coconut chiffon cake, chocolate tahini cake with sesame brittle, puttanesca galette. Like, I would love to encounter any of these in a bakery, and they also seem like they would be fun to do at home.
Helen's been on the show years ago with Yodam, and I remember we had a coffee at a cafe, and we recorded it back in the day on location, and what a great conversation that was. And I didn't know that about her background in psychotherapy. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Meaning of life.
Meaning of life. My next book is The Secret Life of Chocolate Chip Cookies, Exciting New Ways to Enjoy Everyone's Favorite Dessert by Marissa Rothkopf. And Marissa is somebody who I've known. I've been on her own podcast, The Secret Life of Cookies. And this book is obviously a tribute to the chocolate chip cookie. Now, much has been written about the chocolate chip cookie, but what I think she's doing here is giving a blend of cultural history, but mostly thinking about the chocolate chip cookie deeply as a recipe developer and showing the many ways that chocolate chip cookies can be expressed. So we've got a brown butter and honey chocolate chip cookie, a raspberry hazelnut chocolate chip cookie. Now, I'm like thinking, like, when I first saw the title, I'm like, do we need another chocolate chip cookie book? But then in reviewing the PDF and like understanding what she's doing there, I think there's like so much more going on here than just a bunch of recipes. I think she's tying together a lot of threads for this recipe that is, she claims, is America's favorite dessert, which I don't. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, right. Like, I mean, is it hard to debate that? Because I think like we all have a chocolate chip cookie memory, or it's part of our baking plan for the year. Everyone makes it at least once a year, it seems.
Yeah, maybe brownie or donut could come for that. But I think chocolate chip cookies are the most widely made dessert, probably.
Yeah. And The Secret Life is a cool framing for this one. I think that it's like, I want to learn more about like the history and the origin of it. I think there's one narrative, but maybe Marissa is doing something slightly different with it. I'm not going to spoil the show, but I think there's some cool cultural context there with this.
Definitely. The next book I will shout out is called Dory's Anytime Cakes. Simple, Simpler, Simplest. This is Dory Greenspan's new book. I think Dory is really a legend in the baking cookbook world. And this book is just, when she says simple straight up, I really trust her on that. It's illustrated really beautifully by Nancy Pappas. And the cakes are just, perfect cakes to me. Buttermilk plum cake, apple custard cake. She has a whole salty cake category, which I think is a fun one. So things like a miso cheddar scone cake. I think certainly if you are a cake lover, this is the one to add.
Oh, man. I mean, Dory is a legend in the game. Has not been on the podcast, I don't think.
Really? I need to fix that. I'm such a fan of hers.
I know. And maybe Anna interviewed her years ago, but it hasn't been during our run. And I think she should come back. And we could hear about the Paris life.
Yeah, I would love that. It looks like she was on in 2018 for episode 26. So we are probably due for a check-in.
Dory, come on the show. So many questions to ask. I love this next book. It's Dobra Dobra from Laurel Kratovala. Now, Laurel is an American-born writer and baker based in Berlin and trained in France. And she is behind a really, really fun Instagram follow, Fine Bagels, and the owner of a bakery in Berlin. And I met her at the James Beard Awards in 2023. She was nominated for her first book, and I got to know her there. It was like she was randomly sitting next to me and telling me about this Polish book that she was working on, and I got to know her, and it's really, really developed into such an amazing, I would say, tribute to both modern and historical baking in Poland. I followed along while she was shooting it, and I saw that she was going to many bakeries in Poland during her research, and it's really impressive what she came up with. First off, I must say the cover is really, really nice. It features a yeasted saffron Easter bundt, and the design, I texted Laurel to find out about the design, and it's all inspired by this Polish school of film poster art, which I think is really nice. This book is a tribute to both contemporary and historical baking in Poland, and there's 120 recipes, and I don't know a lot about contemporary Polish baking, but I do know that cover image of the yeasted saffron Easter bundt really jumps off the page for me, and I'm excited to check it out.
Yeah, my last baking book that I'll shout out is called 108 Asian Cookies, Not Too Sweet Treats from a Third Culture Kitchen. It's by Kat Liu, who is the founder of this online community, Subtle Asian Baking, which is a Instagram and beyond platform where people share baking that has ingredients from the Asian diaspora. So gochujang, ube, miso, fish sauce, MSG, all those good things. And as the title suggests, it has a lot of not too sweet cookie recipes, mochi brownies, matcha wasabi drop cookies. Yeah. I think certainly if you're someone who does an annual cookie swap or you just really enjoy making cookies, this would be the thing to add to your shelf so that you can bring something new.
I love the sounds of that. Many more to talk about on the podcast. We're going to have plenty of baking authors on the show through the fall. This is just a small selection. Thanks for sharing your favorites.
You too.
This is Taste is hosted and produced by Eliza Barbanel and me, Matt Rodbard. The show is edited by lead producer Clayton Gumbert and supervised by Pat Stango, Director of Media Production and Development at Penguin Random House. Thanks to Shalia Harris and the production team at Penguin Random House. Theme music by Steve Rydell. Logo and guest illustrations by Ellie Skurzat. Visit Taste online at tastecooking.com and make sure to subscribe to our newsletter to keep updated on all cool things in the world of taste.